Did Duke fans actually chant, "How's your grandma?" to an NC State player whose grandmother passed away last week? What has Colorado Rockies first baseman Todd Helton actually been doing this offseason? What should Boston women avoid during Winter Storm Nemo? Well, all these questions and more will be answered on this episode of Ride the Pine. There's a lot of controversy around Duke's Cameron Crazies and what they potentially chanted at NC State guard Tyler Lewis while he was at the free throw line.
He's got 10 points in the game, and he just hasn't been able to orchestrate very much of anything.
Now, the early report is that the Duke student section was chanting, "How's your grandma?" to Lewis, who lost his grandmother last week and who he was very close with. But Duke is now coming out, and the student section is coming out and saying they were chanting "past your bedtime" in reference to Lewis's very young appearance. Truthfully, it's very hard to understand what was being chanted out of that Duke student section. And what complicates the issue even more is that it's normally very difficult to understand what Duke fans are chanting, mostly because they're still suckling on their mother's teats. You spoiled brat preppy babies. Well, at least your players do well in the pros. Since this show is broadcast out of the Northeast, we are preparing for the Winter Storm Nemo, which could potentially bring record snowfall amounts in the Boston area. Now, while most of us are preparing for this epic blizzard, there are certain people on Massachusetts Governor Deval Patrick's staff that are actually preparing for a heat wave.
All vehicles should be off the roads. This is both for the safety of drivers and to enable road clearing and emergency personnel to do their jobs.
I can honestly tell you that is the most bizarre thing I've ever seen in a press conference. Until I realized that the sign language interpreter wasn't there to help out the hearing impaired. She was there to help send a message to the women of Boston of what not to do in case they get stuck somewhere with two guys because of the snow.
And commuter rails.
When your basketball team is in the middle of an absolute suck fest, Steve Nash knows that you take any opportunity you can to show off some skill, even if it's soccer skills. Colorado Rockies first baseman Todd Helton was arrested for driving under the influence, and his mugshot showed a very inflated Todd Helton with his eyes closed. Helton seems to be about 10 to 50 pounds over his playing weight. Hey Todd, make sure you take it easy on the treadmill during the off-season. I just wonder if the police were able to verify that he was under the influence of alcohol and not actually in a food coma.